Hello, everybody. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signor, and it's time to get into Apple TV Plus, which is one of the worst names for a streaming service yet. Apple TV Plus has two shows that I was interested in. I saw the first episode of both See, the new Jason Mamoa show, directed by Francis Lawrence, who did Hunger Games, and then I also watched the first episode of The Morning Show, directed by Mimi Leader, starring Steve Carell as a Matt Lauer type, and Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon. I want to review both these films. Right out the gate, I'm going to tell you this. No, Apple TV is not worth buying. There's not enough, and these two shows, I'll get into my feelings on each. But so far, no, there's not enough there, and especially since they're loading week to week, I would at least wait till these shows are done and then maybe try a month. But there's not nearly enough on Apple TV Plus to warrant it. If you have an Apple device that's new, you get it for free, and that's your opportunity to see it. And so overall, the review on Apple TV Plus, not worth it. I don't think Apple really wants to get into the content game, even though they're spending money. The real money comes from them by when you're in your Apple TV or your Apple devices and you go to their apps and then you sign up for HBO. They get money. They become a middleman. As I sort of have talked about on my Twitter, which you can follow me there, they're a middleman now. They're not an innovator anymore. And so they're just sort of getting in this content business because they can. This is change for them. And they want to have some exclusive stuff to sort of make this seem more worthy. Since people are on their Apple TV apps and on their phones, how do you get people to sort of have content on here that makes it more desirable? So these are the first two shows. There's also the Dickinson show with Emily, what's her name, who I like, Haley Steinfeld, about Emily Dickinson. I was going to give it a shot, but it's not enough. See and Morning Show were the two. I was like, all right, let's try these two. And I will say one of them was better than I thought. Which one do you think it is? Tell me down in the comments before I tell you. Let's talk about See. Now, See here. This show is, I will give it massive props for originality. It's trying something different here. But I have had immense trouble getting into it. Jason Mamoa is playing Jason Mamoa. He's sort of the main excuse for watching this show. And in this show, it's like 600 years in the future, and a virus had wiped out most of civilization. Those who survived are now blind. And so they've created a society 600 years later, based off of this. And that is intriguing to me. It's world building in a way that I haven't seen before, and I give it credit of trying to do things. But the whole show, I'm just like, how are they having these wars when they can't see each other? Like, how do you know who you're fighting? It's in this chaos of literally rolling over and grabbing someone and killing them. I guess if they smell them, maybe they'll get into it and explain it better. But there's just so much to it that's just hard for me to believe. And it just takes me out of it. I'm just sort of distracted. Add to that on top of it, it's just kind of boring. I don't know where it's going. It's a lot of style over substance, and it feels like it's just big ideas, some cool direction and build and set direction, etc. But the plot so far is very thin, and I don't really want to stay in the world. I've looked around to sort of see what audience feedback is, and critics have killed this, but the audiences seem to be more into it, saying this is different, it's awesome. I didn't see it yet. I didn't get to see enough from the first episode to warrant wanting to watch more. The action scenes seemed really, I'm like, okay, they're stepping up these action scenes, but they feel like an Assassin's Creed game, and it's just weird how I just don't understand how they're doing it. I don't understand how, I know you like heighten other senses, but even like Daredevil, like he can sonar, like see things, and it's like they're moving around holding ropes in certain scenes, and then in other scenes, literally grabbing people to stab them and throw them over a hill, and it's like they're all next to each other. I guess you could smell each other, but that would also be an easy thing to sort of trick, like find someone, wipe their smell all over you, and then just go try put a mouth and make the good guys kill all themselves. The whole thing just is a little weird to me. Couldn't get it, couldn't fully understand it. Alfre Woodard's trying her best. Everyone who's in it is like game to play. But I'm not signed up. So C was the one I thought, okay, maybe this will be fun. I wasn't into it. The surprise to me was the morning show. It's very much like a newsroom or West Wing type of show. It's well done. The thing that surprised me is they are definitely trying to tell you the story from all three sides. They are definitely taking an approach on Steve Carell, who's not Matt Lauer. All of this takes place in an alternate version, but they're clearly borrowing from. But even the opening sort of mentions like this morning show is the last to avoid being hit by the Me Too movement, and now they clearly aren't. So it's implying other shows have been hit, and now this is sort of ongoing in the process. And Steve Carell's playing it interestingly. He's definitely they're trying to make him look like a jerk, like, oh, everybody I slept with is consensual. Why is everyone mad at me? He's taking zero accountability, and as someone who lived through similar sort of things, that's yes, someone gets defensive in the beginning. You want to defend yourself. At the same time, like, I hope they actually show the struggle he's going to go through, because Matt Lauer absolutely went through a struggle. There's a fascinating show there. And then if you can really feel for him, and even slightly, they should, because that's good filmmaking. And so I hope they continue to go there. And so far it could, but they're definitely making him the bad guy. And then Jennifer Aniston is definitely more is nice because she calls him. She does show up to his house and has a conversation with him after he's Me Too'd. That was refreshing to see someone do. And obviously hits him and is mad at him and gives a really good speech that makes him finally emotional for understanding, how could you betray us like this? You're going to ruin my career. And I related to that through my own experiences of like, look, I know, even though I didn't do everything I was accused of, I did mess up in my personal life. I made some mistakes that I regret, and I feel terrible for putting people close to me in that situation. And I wish I could have conversations with them to sort of make better. So I like that they're going there and they're having the tough conversations. It's interesting. And then on top of it, Reese Witherspoon plays sort of the upstart, more conservative reporter who goes on a viral video that attracts the news report, the what's his name? Is it Eric Bana? Yeah, I think it's he played what's his name? He played Dr. Manhattan in the Watch movies. I'm drawing a blank on his name. Why am I drawing a blank on his name? Anyway, he's very good. He plays a sort of the network executive who's clearly sleazy and power crazy, but also trying to just play the game and acknowledge that network TV is dying and how to sort of win the system. And it does feel more realistic. Like, he's clearly the bad guy, and I think that's how it should be. And he's actually really good. I like also Mark. I think it's Mark Duplass as sort of Jennifer Aniston's like a producer, and who's he going to side with, the higher ups or her? There's some interesting dynamics coming forward that it's beyond just Me Too. Now it's like, well, now what? It's a power struggle in sort of an entertainment morning show. And if they really get cutthroat about it and show all sides, I'm on board. So far in episode 1, it's seeming like it could go there, and that was refreshing to see. So I'm intrigued, and I may watch another couple episodes of Morning Show to sort of see where it goes out of curiosity. But again, that show alone, not worth the subscription to Apple Plus. And also, it's more interesting to me because I want to see sort of how Hollywood presents the Me Too movement and Hollywood and all that stuff, because there's absolutely stories to be told there. At the same time, we got to move forward, and so, well, how do we adapt, and will they handle that? There's a lot that can be handled because each character has sort of their own sort of thing they're working on, of like Jennifer Aniston sort of phoning it in. And that just makes it interesting for the show because, she isn't fully, it's not like she's innocent, but they're just sort of explaining why she's in trouble too. She has her own conflict of like the network wants her out, not because she's a woman or anything, but like you can tell she's like Jennifer Aniston's doing a good performance by sort of not giving it her all, and you can see it, and I thought it was good. And then now they're sort of warning her that that's happening, and so there's a dynamic there. And then Reese Witherspoon sort of fed up with media and has an interesting, genuine scene, but has a temper. And then everyone has their sort of pros and cons, and they're delving into the characters of each of these things, and not just making it Steve Carell bad, women yes, which I think is smart. They're handling some of the different the delicacies of how to handle such a movement and accusations, and what the problem that comes about. Media just has to say, screw him, forget it, we're moving forward, vilify him, let's keep going. They're sort of doing those plot lines, and that'll be intriguing if they continue it. So bummer this isn't on HBO or somewhere else, because I think this would be a more interesting water cooler show if this was an HBO period. And so it's sort of just to wrap up my thoughts on on Apple TV Plus. I'm just kind of annoyed by it because I don't want good shows to go there because no one's going to have it. It's like a very elite group of Apple purchasers who are like, yeah, I saw that show. And I just think Apple should just stay in the app and computer business. They're definitely investing in creators and trying to do some risky things. And that's great that people can get the money. But I hope there's like a licensing deal, and I think there is, where these shows get to go elsewhere after their date so people actually can discover them, because no one's going to watch any of these shows, and I don't think anyone's going to sign up for Apple TV Plus. It's just going to be something you happen to get and a few people get and then whatever. But they need way more stuff to make this interesting. And right now, I would say don't get Apple TV Plus. C, definitely interesting to say the least, and maybe it gets better, but after one episode I was just confused. I give it a thumbs up and sort of, hey, they're trying something different, but I don't know at the stake of what. Like, why? It's just clearly trying to be Game of Thrones and Jason Mamoa exploiting him, which I like him, but not my cup of tea. Morning show, not the best thing I've ever seen, but I'm intrigued. Obviously, I am biased. I have a personal interest in sort of those types of stories, so I'm intrigued to go. But I'm also impressed that they're at least trying to, so far, handling all stories. And I'm interested to see how they continue to adapt those storylines. So that's my overall take on Apple TV Plus, the main two big shows. There's also the Emily Dickinson show starring. I keep blanking her name, who I like, Haley Steinfeld. I like her a lot. Edge of 17, wonderful film. I may give that a shot at some point. I've heard that's pretty good. But those are sort of the main three. And there's also the new space show. Sorry, there's the For All Mankind about what if the Russians had gotten to space first. I haven't gotten to that, so I'll try that one soon. But those two just weren't as intriguing to me as these other ones. So even if that was amazing, I would still say Apple TV Plus, not worth it yet. And especially I would wait until these shows are out for a couple months and the episodes are done and the seasons are fully there, so that way you can go and binge and enjoy them at your leisure. So that's my take. Thank you so much for watching. Hit me up on social media at Andy Signor. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter or Facebook. And please subscribe, hit that notification bell. And big announcement Thursday live at 10 p.m., so stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. That's it. Bye, everybody.